So wills versus trusts. What's the difference? Do you need both?
Well, they do go together. So some people, this is kind of a complicated question that usually is decided after a long discussion. But for some people, a will is fine, and that's all they need. For many people, more people than most folks would think, a trust is more appropriate and would be better. But even if you have a trust, you also need a will. So they go together. Depends on your circumstances if you need one or both. But the important thing to know about the difference between a will and a trust is that property that passes through a will still has to go through probate. Property that is dealt with through a trust does not have to go through probate. And most people would prefer to avoid probate. So one of the primary advantages of a trust is that if you have one, the property that is directed by the trust does not have to be probated.
In a will and a trust, it doesn't matter if the person is wealthy or not. I mean, there's a purpose for them.
Yes, absolutely. They have different purposes. They have different functions. For instance, younger people that have small children, the will is the document that designates who the guardian and the conservator would be for their children. So they absolutely have to have a will. But they would probably also want a trust so that if something happened to both of the parents, there's somebody designated to handle the property for the benefit of the children. And with a trust, you can designate ahead of time at what age you want your children to receive their inheritance. Whereas with a will, they will receive their money or property when they turn 18. So that's a big factor for people with small children.
Okay. So why should somebody call you versus just going online, punching in and buying a will and getting it done in 30 minutes?
Well, you can get a lot of things off of the internet, and I'm sure you can find a will. It might even say what you want it to say. You have to make sure that it's executed properly. In Missouri, Kansas, and most states, there are requirements for how a will is executed for it to be valid. So you'd have to make sure that was done properly. But the problem with anything like that is that you don't receive the advice and counsel of somebody that knows the process. So a will might not be what you need. A will might not take care of the issues that that you're concerned about. And I understand that people don't necessarily want to call a lawyer, don't want to pay a lawyer, but sometimes if you spend just a little bit of money, the result is much, much better for you.